heard this. I'm like a wineskin in the smoke. It's found in Psalm 119, verse 83. A wineskin in the smoke. And then the Lord just showed me what happened in John 2, where Jesus turned the water into wine. And in verse 10, the master of the ceremonies drank the wine, and he said, everybody else gives us the best wine first, and then we've drunk too much and we don't know. He said, that'll get some of you. You think it's grape juice. We're so silly. We're so worried about silly things and not listening to the word of God. And then he said, but you've kept the best to last. And what the Lord said to me, he said, that's what I have done. I've reserved the next outpouring of wine to be better than the last outpouring, and the one that comes after that is going to be greater yet. Now, if you know anything about wine, you will understand that if you get wine from a vineyard, it will always have certain ingredients that are the same. But each preceding year, as different things with the soil, the weather, flow together, there are different things that come into that particular year's wine. So whenever the Lord moves, there are things that will always be the same. There might be joy, there might be this, there might be healing, there might be that. But what will actually happen is as he pours it out, this particular outpouring will be better than the last one and should not be judged by the last one. Now, there are two reasons why you get new wine. Number one, because you've run out. See, I'm so deep. And the church has run out. That's why the seeker-friendly church has taken over. That's why there are shows and razzmatazz and no demonstrations. They've run out of wine, and Jesus' mother walked up to him and said, they've run out of wine, like he doesn't know. The second reason you get an outpouring of new wine is because you're like a wineskin in the smoke. What is a wineskin in the smoke? The smoke is after the fire or after the event. And a wineskin in the smoke is the wine that has been drunk and it leaves just the skin with the dregs in it. And most of the church has been living on the dregs of the wine that God poured out last time. But nobody has thought to press in and get new wine. Now here are the ingredients, and I'm going to be quick. You'll never get what God has for this generation, what he's about to outpour, unless there's someone intimate enough with the Lord to know what he is, what he's doing, and how he's doing it. So when Mary went up to Jesus and she said, they've got no wine, he said, why are you involving me? He didn't say, you can't involve me. He said, why are you involving me? She was involving him because she knew who he was. And she knew what he would do, and she knew how he would do it. So had he done it before? You don't know. You don't know. You don't know that he didn't do it at the table. You don't know that he didn't do it when Joseph died, and he just had to look up. You don't know what he did. She knew what he did. She was intimate enough with him to go press the point. And there has got to be some churches and some individuals who are intimate enough with him to press the point. They've got no wine. Lord, are you watching this? They've got no wine. All we're hearing is shows and sham and people lying, saying you spoke. I mean, I might as well upset you just for a minute. I don't read the Elijah list. It was about send me nuts. God can't say so many diverse things at once. Whatever God says to the prophets, he says to the prophets, and they all hear the same thing. For instance, we said something in this church last Sunday, and the same day Bob Jones was saying the same thing in Austin. When God speaks, he doesn't crisscross himself. But people are just running around trying to get something to work because they've run out of wine. They're like wineskins in the smoke. All we've got is smoke. The fire's gone. There's a smell of smoke. There's nothing happening. And there's just dregs of what used to be. And so now we're into entertainment. How good's the show? How good do we make them feel? God doesn't want you to make them feel good. He wants them to have an encounter. He wants them to have a face-to-face with the living God. One-to-one. Cara y cara. So you mentioned Spanish. He comes out of his seat. Hey, thank God for Spain beating Germany. Woo! Oh, that was good. Yay, that'll make you dance. That'll bring up all sorts of salsa steps. And then, out of her intimacy, she then knows who he is and pushes the request. When you know who he is and what he wants to do, and when he starts to release prophetic words about what he wants to do, it's then our job in intimacy to push the request. Lord, you said the reason I'm here. You said the reason we stayed here 20 years. It's what you said, so therefore we're pushing it. And he'll say, well, what's it to do with me? It's got everything to do with you. You kept me here for 20 years. I know Psalm 66 front and back. You have tested me like silver. You have put me in prison. You have let men ride over my head. I've been through the water, I've been through the flood, and I've been through the fire, but my God, I'm waiting for my large, spacious place. I've got to know the word of the Lord. And you push this thing, and you push it, and our intercessors, and some of us have been pushing it. You've got to have people intimate enough and yet courageous enough to push the envelope with our God. And so you said, it's the moment, there is no wine, all we got is smoke, where's the wine? Then she turns to the servants and she says to the servants, oh, if we had a few of those. And she says to the servants, do what he tells you to do. I mean, I want to prophesy to some of you. You need to do what he tells you to do. I remember saying it to one of my daughters once. She said, why? And I said, because I said so. Yeah, but why? Because I said so. And we're all like this, but why? And how come you bless him, but you don't bless me? What's that to do with you? Do what I tell you to do. And folks, we're always wanting somebody else's race. Someone's race is always better than my race. I don't like my race. I'm fed up with my race. Why am I racing this race? Because I'm God and you're you. And if you will become a servant and do what I tell you to do, you might get what I promised. And if this church would do what it's told to do, and some of you guys would do what you're told to do, you might get what is promised. But I want people to like me. Give it up. It's not going to happen. They won't like you if you stand for right. They won't like you if you stand for wrong. They'll vote you in to be president and hate you that they voted you in. We've got to stop this and become servants. Do what he tells you to do. And I know there's clever ones among you. I haven't heard him say anything. Of course you haven't. You don't even read the Bible. You couldn't hear his voice if he spoke. But it's got to stop. So I'm doing what he tells me to do. And I'm going to declare what he tells me to declare. And we're going to be what God says we're going to be. And we're going to have some new wine.